My first job was back when I was 10 or 11, back in the food truck with my dad. But that was just to help out the family. Technically, it would be back in the smoothies, where all my workers were Vietnamese and I was the only Hispanic worker there. And so, um, not too much happened, but there was something in particular. I had a stalker who randomly appeared one day, and she'd be standing right in front of me, just trying to get my attention, constantly looking over me. And so she would come every other day or so. I mainly worked the weekends, and so pretty much every weekend she'd be there. And I had long hair. It was about past my shoulder. And so I that was kind of the style several years ago. And so she even brought a guy to kind of make me jealous, which is kind of funny. And so she would like be hugging him and right in front of me, constantly trying to make eye contact. And so I didn't really find her all that attractive, so I just kind of stood there. I had to be there, no choice, because I worked there. So it was just kind of funny how long it went on. It went on for about a couple of months. And all those times, she only once went to order an actual smoothie. And so when she came up to get a smoothie, I was like, well, maybe this might be my first time to interact with her. And so she was all shy and just ordered a smoothie, and that was about it. But what I thought was really funny is I cut my hair. I was already going to cut it, but I cut my long hair probably a little bit shorter as it was now. And I was taking a break, and I went up and walked her, and I asked her, I was like, you like my haircut? And she's like, why'd you cut it? And I never really saw her after that. So I guess it was just for my hair at the time. But that was definitely the interesting thing as far as working with Vietnamese people. I learned some couple words here and there. Even now, when I go back and visit, I don't see any other American workers. Yeah, before that, I had a stalker group, and it was interesting because a couple of friends would be like, hey, these girls said hi. I was like, girls? Like, what girls? And like, it'd be like on the other side of the, what we called wings. Basically, it's just pillars across on the outside buildings. And I would look, there's about 5 or 6 girls. And I was just like, okay. And I waved back to them, and I would just go to class. But every morning when I went to class, they'd be kind of there just looking. And every time I looked, they'd be giggling and whatnot. And from my knowledge, I was the only one that really had kind of skater looking hair, kind of wavy to the side. I didn't really talk to them. I wasn't really interested. I mostly focused on school, but one of them I actually did get to know, but it was kind of funny. They'd always try to get my attention and have random people come tell me hi and whatnot. Working at Six Flags was pretty fun. Um, I was there for about 2.5 years, but I started off in operating the rides. I mainly thought it'd be fun, so that's where I started at. I started operating the train, and so I'd always just be waving at people, getting people to interact with the train, and I try to make it more fun and get people to say some weird stuff on the coasters and before they take off and all that. Um, I also had a couple of people I would see from time to time, um, mostly young teens that would follow me ride a ride because they're like, hey, we saw you at this ride, and they're like, oh, you're the same guy. I was like, yeah, I work here. So, I mean, they'd be, they had come back, and sometimes they'd come back in a few weekends or a couple of weeks from now because they had the season passes. And so they'd be like, "Hi, remember us?" And I'll be like, "Sure." I mean, you see lots of people, so sometimes if they make you laugh and stuff, it's easy to remember. But after that, I started working in a service called Parks Services. And basically, we cleaned up the park. And I started working the early shifts by going in 5 in the morning. And so the park's abandoned, and there's all kinds of weird stuff like animals. There'd be turtles, raccoons, ducks I've seen. One of the craziest things I've ever seen was there was a mountain lion. And so the area at Six Flags would extend up to some of the mountain or like upper hills. And so I remember we got a call one day saying that there was a mountain lion or some bobcat within the area. And I was the supervisor of the area. And so I told all the people in the park that were there working to be mindful of what's going on and make sure to find a suitable place if you do approach it, like go to the restroom or something. But I was in a water truck, so I was okay. A big old vehicle that I don't think a big enough cat could get into if it tried. But yeah, so that was basically the only crazy thing that ever happened as far as in the morning. I mean, they had all kinds of rodents and stuff, but basically the park would be dirty the night before, and we just fixed that all up. Well, there's multiple instances that could be thought as of someone being killed, but there was this one time when I was in rides where they had like a log ride, and so the log, so it's moving, it's on a conveyor belt, and so I wasn't there working on the ride, but I was in the area at a nearby ride when I heard about what happened. And basically they said that a young boy slipped and fell in front of the boat. And so by the time they stopped the boat, it was already pretty much over half his body. And so they immediately stopped the ride. And they had a bunch of people, the supervisors, whoever was in the area, get there as quickly as possible and lift up a boat. And there was people from the queue lines waiting who also helped. Basically, anyone that could help lift it up, because these are boats that weigh about a ton. Because usually when they carry these little boats, they have a little crane to put them in place. And so that was pretty crazy to hear. They had a group effort, but it was dangerous, and he did make it. He just suffered some bad injuries. And so all the people that were there working at the ride, they were pretty much in shock or traumatized, and so they were sent home immediately while they shut down the ride for over a week. I remember them telling me, like, one of my friends there, he seemed pretty manly, but he was just like, I'll never forget what I saw. I was like, it was just crazy, and he had this look in his eyes. He just looked like he saw a ghost, so to speak. But I was just like thinking back, I was like, oh, I guess it must have been something else. Like, I guess being there as opposed to just hearing what happened. But yeah, a lot of people, a couple of girls were there just crying, guessing they didn't know how to deal with it. But that's definitely one of the most crazy things I ever come across as far as Six Flags.